All right, adventures in goat popping today for animal science. So we've got that mama goat, probably didn't eat for a couple days straight after she gave birth because she was tending to her kid, and then all of a sudden ate too much at once. Now she can barely stand. So what we're doing here is we're gonna help release that gas. Don't have a whole lot of options. We have to use what's available. We're an hour round trip to Tractor Supply and they don't even have the right tools. So we're gonna give this a go. She's eating a lot. We're looking at a rumen that's just full of gas. So we're looking at about the highest point between the rib cage and the hip, right about where you're fingered. Flip this around. Looking at the highest point between the hip and rib cage. All right, little longer needle, we got it. Kind of hear it. That hum, all that gas is coming out. Keep humming. All right, let's talk a little bit about what happened to our goat, our doe, our mother goat. So she was calving, she gave birth to a kid. Didn't eat for 3 or 4 days, a whole lot throughout that process, was pretty exhausted. And then just kind of gorged herself on the new alfalfa I got for her. So we were dealing with what's called dry bloat. When they eat greens and fresh greens and get bloat, they get what's called like a frothy bloat, and you can see it in their mouth and it kind of froths, and that usually requires tubing, other methods to get rid of. One thing we tried to fix that before we did anything intrusive was baking soda. You can do a baking soda olive oil mix. Even baking soda in their water can sometimes stop some of this bloat. So animal science, we've talked about the ruminant digestive system, gone through it a lot. In biology, we were just getting into animals in our 13th unit in egg biology. But yeah, so there's basically a 4-compartment stomach. You got the rumen, the rectilium, the omasum, and the abomasum. The abomasum is the true stomach, so that's what the kid's using right now as it drinks goat milk. What happened with the mother goat was she ate way too much, and then this rumen here really just expanded all the way to here and began putting pressure on her lungs. So her lungs weren't working well enough to pump oxygen. Then all of a sudden she couldn't walk because her muscles didn't have enough oxygen to work. When you're in that situation, start getting muscular failure. The next muscle that usually goes is the heart, and then the goat dies. And then I end up nursing and bottle feeding a goat. So this is what happened. The rumen got really, really enlarged. You could really see it. She looked almost pregnant again. But if you look, there's the skeletal structure. You have a rib cage that goes over this. So you don't want to poke through there. There's a lot of nerves and things, and you don't want to ever puncture the rumen through the ribs. You don't want to get too close to the spinal cord either. There's a lot of nerves and things going on there. So you really want to kind of aim for this area between the hip bone and the last rib. So you can kind of feel down, aim for the area between the hip bone and the last rib right here. And then we use an 18 gauge needle. You want to make sure that you go down further enough to where it's not hitting any spinal cord, no spinal tissue. Then we just poke a 18 gauge needle and released all the gas. And as you can see, she's doing great now. Not something you want to have to do, but better than having a dead goat. So that was our solution, and it worked magically. Okay, so here at the farm, here's Shelby. She's doing good. She wants more apples, more food. Silky roosters. Goofy looking animals. You can kind of see here we're getting lots of eggs still. One thing for animal science, we're gonna crossbreed the leghorns with these Rhode Island Reds. You can see the size difference in the Reds versus the leghorns. So that way they'll be either a good meat chicken or a good egg layer. So it'll be more of a dual purpose bird. Too many roosters. Yeah, let's take a look at our And our goat, she's doing great. Just back to normal. Just acting like a normal goat. Happy goat. Nursing her kid right now. All good. You can see just her hip bones again. She was so bloated that you couldn't. Shelby, really? Really? Trying to. What's up? You can see her hip bones again, which is cool. So you know she's not bloated. Yeah, you want some? Yeah, I get you. What's up, kid? Yeah, she's doing great. Back to her normal self. What's up, dude? Why you gotta be so neat? How are you? She's doing great. You can kind of see the purple spots where we put some antiseptic on her. That way we don't get any infection and solve one problem and have another problem with the infected gut. She's happy though, totally back to herself, feeding her kid. We don't need to bottle feed the kid anymore, and that's good news. So, yeah, puncture in the rumen worked. Llamas are happy as llamas can be, I guess. Just kind of going through the remains of the hay from today. But all is well here. What's up? Huh? This one should be calving any day now. She's getting big, so expect her to calve soon. All's going well here. Glad you're still with us. Yeah. Okay, so into the greenhouse. We're getting real close to where we're going to be utilizing the field. Still a few weeks from planting out a lot of the warm weather crops, but there is stuff we can be seeding. I'll flip around here, let's see. So, see hibiscus is flowering. Let's see the style right there, and the little filament and anthers, stigma up top. Beautiful flower. Roses are still doing amazing. Sunflowers are taller than me now. Passion flowers just blooming like crazy. For 2 years of growth. Basil's taken off. This is one thing for plant and soil science and ag biology. We separated our seed potatoes. We've got more to where they're about ready to plant. This is a Magic Molly heirloom purple potato. We'll be getting all those in the field, and if you look close you can see they're starting to get eyes growing to where these will all be ready to plant out in the field really soon. Lots of peppers. These are heirloom jalapenos, sweet mix orange bell peppers, got kohlrabi, some zucchini, heirloom zucchini. This is cool, the tangerine tree, those little green things will be tangerines. We got limes coming in too. Beautiful floral smell. This is pretty cool. Nasturtium flower. Great for this kind of pandemic. It's considered antiviral. It's antifungal, antibacterial, so any bacteria or things that you're breathing in, you can just eat the flower, and lots of vitamin C. Super healthy, super good for you. So you got sunflower sprouts growing. Another great food source, but also if we're looking at diacots, cotyledons right there, the first two seed leaves. And that's the part you want to eat. Great source of protein, all kinds of vitamins and minerals in these as well. So, cucumbers are taking off. But really, when we start looking at our tomatoes, we've got 1,000 tomatoes probably. All heirloom tomatoes, really starting to get their first true leaves. These are Ace tomatoes. They're a big giant red tomato. This will be good for sauces, salsas. These are cool, the green zebras. There'll be a neat striped tomato. Cherokee purple tomato is one of my favorite heirloom tomatoes. See, they're already starting to flower, almost ready to fruit already. Black winter sage. It's a cherry tomato, kind of a striped cherry tomato. These are just starting to take off, but if you can look, there's 48 in the set here. And if there's 4 or 5 that we're going to separate, we're looking at 250 per tray. So if we do the math, we're over 1,000 tomatoes that are going to be in a couple weeks out in the field. So we have a pineapple tomato, heirloom black beauty tomato. This is kind of a fun one, big giant, up to 2-pound mortgage lifter tomatoes, Kentucky beefsteak. Got some dinosaur kale coming in. My favorite red Russian kales. So getting to a spot where like both the kales could go out really soon as they start to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, then those can go out in the field. They can take a frost. Tomatoes will probably wait 2 more weeks for these to get their first true leaves, then transplant them out. But yeah, we'll talk about planting. We have a dill here that's just huge and flowering. It's crazy. Every one of those flowers is going to be a seed. So there's no other dill in here. It's not cross-pollinating with anything. So it's an heirloom dill that we can just let it flower, go to seed, and then you can just look at the size of that flower. It's going to have thousands and thousands of seeds off of this. Plus we can use some of it for pickling and see how big it gets. That'll be cool. Artichoke needs some help. Snapdragons. This is cool. This is one of those Magic Molly heirloom purple potatoes. This is a good way to do heirloom potatoes because you can't go in with like a commercial machine. They're such a small potato that they basically fall through machine and become more work, or they get churned up. But this way you just grow them in the bucket, keep feeding it with nutrients, top dress it, let it grow big and tall. Once it starts flowering in the fall, you just take the bucket, flip it over. Instead of having to dig them up, then you just have this giant bucket full of potatoes just ready to go. So we've got hundreds of buckets up here. That's one efficient way to do it if you're just growing potatoes at home for yourself, for your family. Good way to grow them. But yeah, next couple weeks we're going to be talking more about planting stuff out in the field. Conda lilies are really taking off, full bloom right now. Beautiful tropical, huge leaf plant. Super fun in here right now. Favorite time of year for sure for agriculture. Heirloom black opal, purple basil. This is another good thing we can do too. We've got a lettuce box going here. So really, like, you go to Costco, Lynn's, wherever you shop for groceries, end up buying a thing of mixed greens for $5 to $10 usually. And from my experience, I see those and you use it a few times and then basically probably use about half of it and then it just goes to rot. Something like this, you can just harvest leaf to leaf, or you can even chop the top, let it grow back. And you got a constant supply of greens, always. Just don't kill the atrium of the plant. So did the same thing here, just really heavy seeded it. We'll grow it really thick and bushy. It takes about 10 days to get started. And you can just cut half of it at a time. Slice it. Do a video on that too. Still waiting on the spinach. It's finally starting to sprout. With spinach. A couple more days, I bet you a week we're harvesting baby spinach. These long cotyledons. Kind of see them starting to pop. Yeah, won't be long till that's ready to go. Let's take a look at some of the changes in our field. It's been a couple weeks since we tilled, which tilling's good to where it aerates the soil and kills the top weeds, but it also, you get more weeds in the long run. You can see the weeds are already starting to pop back up. You can also see the bean trellis is established now. It's not a perfect straight line, but close enough for beans. The beans don't seem to care. We got one furrow dug, ready to plant. Next video, I'll talk more about companion planting, how we're going to use furrows at 5,000 feet, highland desert, and what the most efficient way to do that is. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, packets are due. We got a 4-day weekend, so they're going to be due Tuesday, April 14th. And check in for the next video. Make sure you comment on this one.